What's up guys, I'm back here, and as you can see the car is still in the same place as the very first video. We're going to get right into getting the actual bolt-ons and installations done for this car. I had another car before this one, as I just mentioned in my previous video, was a 2010 MazdaSpeed. This one is a 2012 in as much of a stock configuration as what I could find, but it came with a InGen cold air intake. So first things first, we're going to be basically getting all of my parts on that I'll be running. I'll be running the Cobb SF intake, the turbo inlet hose, torque solutions for a recirculating hose, which is this one down at the bottom over here. It goes from your bypass filter and back. And as you can see, it's pretty prone to failure. So if you haven't replaced yours yet, good idea to have a look at it and just see that it's not ripped around the bottom. Make sure that you get it replaced. So the video today is going to be as to how to get all of these parts into your car. And it's a bit of an invasive install, as what you've got to do is remove a lot of these parts over here in order to access where this particular pipe joins onto, which is right on the turbo, which is down the bottom over here. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and start off by removing the shroud. Just always easiest to get the shroud off. There's going to be some wires and things, pipes and things under here that we're going to need to access. So 2 bolts, get those out. You're going to go ahead and get this lid off over here. I'll show you as we go as well. This lid just pops straight off with a couple of clips. All right, I'll go ahead and do it afterwards. And you'll get your negative and your positive terminals off. You'll get the strut off the battery over here, and you will remove the battery. Once you remove the battery, you'll remove this shroud over here. You'll pop the 2 clips off of your ECU, and then there'll be 3 more bolts, 1, 2, 3, in the bottom of this tray, and this whole tray is actually going to come out. Then once we've removed that tray, it's pretty easy. We're going to go ahead and undo the clamp at the turbo, basically undo it and put it all in. I like to assemble my parts before I put them on the car rather than doing it part by part, as a lot of the instruction videos show. So I'll show you that at the beginning of this next little section over here. Alright, so just wanted to show you guys, we've taken these little plastics off. Just one little bolt there, one little bolt there, one little clip there. This comes off. There's another little clip here in the front over here, which holds the bit on for this over here for the ECU. We're about to unplug the ECU. And here's the bolt and another bolt, which is going to hold on this harness. I'm going to undo the post and undo the post, which is obviously going to turn our ECU off and everything. So it's safe to unplug those wires and not damage anything. This is our ECU over here. There's also going to be a little wiring harness here, a little plastic catch that you're going to have to pull up, I believe. And we're going to want to release that in order to get that loose. This actually unplugs. There's the catch and the clip. You do that and you just pull it right up. But you've got to take the battery tray out first. The battery tray comes out. This pulls up as well. Take note of all of these little clips here in the front so you don't break them when pulling everything out. But we've got to get this all out in order to get into the back over there. So let's get it done. Alright, so battery's out, and now we're going to get to these 3 bolts over here. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there. That holds this whole box in. We're going to remove the box. For you guys, it was a little bit irritating trying to work around this thing over here, as this box is going to come forward. So this is for you and for me, because some of these wires, they go outside the box. So these 2 clips go outside the box. This one comes in and around the bottom over here. You'll see there's a little lip on this thing over here at the bottom that allows that wire in right there. So just make sure that you're wiring your stuff up right again. This is your positive terminal, which is coming in. Actually, it's your ground. It's your ground coming all the way around the back. And your positive is this white one, which comes in here on the side and then goes back out and over here into all of your electronics and everything. That is the wire that you're looking out for there. So just look out for that. This one is clipped inside and these are clipped outside. MAF sensor and your additional harness. So now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to go ahead then and so I'm going to try to get all these wires back and out of the way. I'm going to take this box out. I'm going to slide this off. There's a little post that's attached over there. I'm going to get the box out and show you what it looks like. I've broken it and modifying it, so you just want to pull that out. Remember guys, your ECU is going to come out with this. It is attached. These connections are extremely important. So you want to make sure that you put this somewhere nice and clean. I'd like to put it in the trunk, but guess what? The battery's just been disconnected, so you can't open the trunk. So I'm going to put mine just in the front seat, I guess. There we go. And there's the intake we're about to install. I'll get to that in a second. This is probably dirtier than what I want it to be, so I'll find another place for it now. In here now, this little box is out now, and I can see that my cold air intake, which is this little unit over here and begins here, is still attached to our stock turbo inlet hose, which as you can see is not round, it's square, it's plastic, it can take a lot of heat from the engine. So that's one of the big parts we're going to be upgrading today. And then the other part I just wanted to show you, since I've got it open over here, is this little bit over here that joins back onto this turbo inlet hose over here, is this tube over here, which is called your recirculating hose. Now, very common that they break around the bottom over here, because the tube is sort of, you know, it goes up and down like that, and as the boost comes through and goes through this bulb, it just bulbs it out and ends up breaking, and you don't see it. You see it from the top, but it's perforated in the bottom. So if you're having your turbo work very hard, or if you're getting a lot of boost or a lot of boost loss, this is probably the tube you want to be checking out. It's that recirculating hose. It goes from your bypass filter into the turbo inlet hose, which has an air intake as well as the recirculation tube, which allows the turbo to go through the intercooler and push that boost back into the engine and not work as hard to spool up again. So now we'll be going in to go and unclip this over here, as well as undo all these little bits, undo all of these clamps. We're going to get all the way into the turbo over there, so we need to go ahead and start unclipping. Alright, so we're back. I just had to go somewhere. It's a little bit darker now, so let's carry on working. Next, we're going to take out the turbo inlet hose, so we're going to go and have to reach in the back over here, and you're going to have to look down where the turbo inlet hose is, and hopefully you can find the screw which attaches it onto the turbo, which should be right down there somewhere. So just trace this this black hosing back, and then there's one last bolt which actually sits right over there, and you just undo that little bolt and you pull this out. Just don't forget to undo this little clip over here, and that'll just be one nice solid plastic part, and we'll get it out and we'll get the new Cobb turbo inlet hose and all the other parts installed now. Alright, so my little clip over here is of course in a position where I can't really reach it with the screwdriver. You'll see it is sitting down there somewhere. Anyway, point is, this intercooler and hose is getting in the way. I did not intend to remove it for this install, but I'm going to, just to make it easier to get to that clamp over there. So in order to do that, I've already loosened this clamp down over here. It sits up here. Now, it's super important when you guys do this. I was going to show this in the intercooler video, which is coming up with the CorkSport 3-inch intercooler change just for the top mount intercooler. You go ahead and undo this, but you've got to pry this from the silicone before you even try and get that hose off, because if you don't, you're going to rip this hose. So once you've pried this off and let it slip down, it's obviously going to be sealed via heat and many years of just, you know, heating up and cooling down. Your turbo's right there, it's super hot. Forcing air in through this thing to cool it down, it's going to be stuck on there. So you want to take a screwdriver and you just gently want to get in here. I've already pried mine loose, but you just gently want to get in at an angle and then get in and just work it all the way around like that. Because if you don't, you're going to rip that hose and you're not going to have any turbo boost, and you're going to overwork your turbo, and you're going to have a very bad time getting home or doing anything. So make sure you get that off. Next over here, I'm going to come up the front over here. I'm going to undo 1 and 2 bolts. And then I'm going to undo 1 bolt, 2 bolts, 3 bolts here in the back. And the whole intercooler is going to come off. So let's get the bypass valve off now. Alright, so I did manage to get it loose, but I forgot to mention there is one more clamp over here, obviously on the cold side. There's the hot side, there's the cold side, to take the intercooler off. There's the intercooler now. And then there is also, like I said, there is one more clip that you've got to undo over there. Bangs those. But now you can see your turbo inlet hose is attached to that ugly recirc hose. Here's this recirculating hose that I was talking about. And there's that little bow that I'm talking about. And there's the other little bow that I'm talking about. And they like to burst right here or right here. So make sure that if you got one of these or one of these cars, you check this damn hose, because it's probably your problem. Alright, so I did manage to get it loose, but I forgot to mention there is one more clamp over here, obviously on the cold side. There's the hot side, there's the cold side, to take the intercooler off. There's the intercooler now. And then there is also, like I said, there is one more clip that you've got to undo over there. Bangs those. But now you can see your turbo inlet hose is attached to that ugly recirc hose. Here's this recirculating hose that I was talking about. And there's that little bow that I'm talking about. And there's the other little bow that I'm talking about. And they like to burst right here or right here. So make sure that if you got one of these or one of these cars, you check this damn hose, because it's probably your problem. And now we are inside, and I have broken this part. This is the boost control solenoid. So you see it's got a plug on the top. It's got a hose that goes over to your wastegate, and this is the rebreather tube that goes back into your air intake. So if you can see, I broke mine right there. So I'm using this nice glue, lucky for me. Work for a company that we have this kind of glue, so really good solid glue. Use it to glue radio controlled tires to their rims and they don't come off, so yep, I figure that'll be pretty good to glue that on. And then once we've glued it on, that still looks pretty flimsy to me, so I'm going to use this stuff. Yep, so I'm just going to make this like super fat around the actual body of this thing, thicken it up a little bit so it won't break again. And then I'm going to use some heat tape around it just in case this stuff's not heat resistant, because this all sits right on top of the turbo. I don't quite know how hot this gets, so I want to protect it all from just crumbling and breaking again. So I'm going to use some heat tape as well, so just to protect it as well. So yeah, I'll show you how that comes out. Oh, like I said, with all the glue stuff, this is what I ended up with. But it'll do, because it's going to mean that I don't have to make any parts out of anything. I'll just cut some of the rubber off. But yeah, I didn't want the glue to be privy to the turbo, which is right there and sits right above it, right? So thought it was going to get hot. So this stuff is rated to 1750 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't know what the glue is rated to. It's just shoe glue and contact adhesive, so I figured it might fall apart. So I protected it with this since it's got a lot of space out the back. And the tubes just need to join onto it, so hopefully that works. I'll let you know. Okay, so we solder on. The part is back in. I've now clipped that hose back on, if you can see it over there. Can you? Yeah, there's a little part over there with the hose back on. Now I'm gently going to put the back one on, that little back nipple that you can just see sticking out over there. And then the turbo inlet hose is going to go on there, of course. So now, when they show you in the video to install their parts, they show you to install it piece by piece, but I prefer to go ahead and do it like this, because now I can have nice seated joins already all the way around all of these, and know that these are all nice and tight in the position in which I can reach them without having to shove my hands into small little holes. So now I just need to go and get that clamp over there. Where is that one? I had that one. Alright, so got to go and get that clamp, put that on the hose. This is the little tube that goes back onto that nipple over there that we broke, so that goes on there. And then this stand is actually going to get screwed on right over there with those bolts over there. And then it just sits right there, and you install everything back in around it in reverse order. I'll show you how to do that, of course, so you remember. Or should I say, so you can just follow the video as you finish off. And here we go, let's finish it. Alright, so that's on. I've attached the hose over here for the recirculation tube as well. So there you go, nice silicone all the way through into the turbo inlet. Come around the top over here and tighten that up with a nice extension. I have my bolt facing up, so it's easier to reach from up here because you have access. And even when the intercooler is on, you can reach in behind it and still get access. So that's easy to take the intake on and off if you really want to. You still got to take the battery and stuff out. But now, since we've taken the intercooler off, here's the stock intercooler. I'm going to take some bolts off here on the other side of this over here. They'll just pop right off. I've already taken these grommets out of the previous one of these that I had. As you can see, quite a lot thicker. This is the CorkSport 3-inch. So it's got a better intake. As you can see over here, it's a little bit, really just a funny shape. This comes in much nicer and smoother and all the way through the intake, through the intercooler and across much larger fins as well. Look at how much larger these fins are, not these, but these actual air vanes, they're a lot bigger than these. So a lot more efficient. If you're going to be running more boost and more heat and more performance, then good idea to run at least a better top mount intercooler, if not a front mount intercooler. This one I could probably get away with on smog because I can put the cover back on. They probably won't notice, but yeah, that's good to go. That I'm using to get my drill in and nice and around that stuff is nice long extender bar. See, and then I just face all of my screws out the way that I can reach them without having to touch anything else. So there we go. Hope that helps you. Okay, so just a trick for you guys when you're putting the intercooler back on. when you come back and around and you're going to be trying to put all these little rubber grommets over, and we're trying to push it down and over, and if you've not undone the hose like some of the videos show you to do, I don't do it, you might be pushing down on this hose. This hose has got to come over the top of the bell mouth. It goes to your throttle body, not under. It gets stuck down there, it could get pulled, hurt, it's not going to get to the bypass filter properly, so make sure that this is pulled up and out of the way so that you can reinstall it real quick. And yeah, the intercooler is like one clamp there, 2 bolts there, 1 clamp there, 3 bolts, and you're done. Alright, so I do have to shoot a little correction, because earlier I showed you those bolts down there on the shift linkage that I was saying we were going to go ahead and attach to, but it's not. It's a 17mm bolt over here. So I'd actually gone ahead and loosened this thing that your battery box and cable attaches to. See, there's a little cable bit. Because I thought it attached to there, which is 10mm. So far everything's been 10mm, except for that bolt over there and the bolts on the top over here. That was a 17mm and this was a 12mm on the top of these, so pretty easy to work on these cars. Alright, so don't forget that one wire through the bottom over there in the front. You're gonna have to move this bloody clip over here if you want to use it. I just don't want mine flipping around, so I did move it. That's good enough. MAF sensors in, don't forget that. Other hose clamp over there, I didn't show in the video, but we had to put it back on. Now we've got to go do this one over here as well. Or did we already? No, there's still one more left over here. Alright, that's a big problem if you don't do that one, of course. I'm going to face it forward like this, so I can hit it from over here. Boom, boom. And we will be connecting the battery up, and we should be done. Oh yeah, put the shroud back on if you really want. I'm going to leave the shroud off for now. Let's see if I can fit it on later. And then lastly, don't forget your factory recirculation hose. This is a pretty important one to keep, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of going back to stock or Cobb, because a lot of them use this other little pipe. They just give you the pipe from here to there. Often their pipe joins like up here, so it's way short. And this one's got like a elbow, goes down into another elbow. I need to add another little hose clamp over there just to be safe, and it's got a clamp on that side. So we are now good to go. Well, one more hose clamp and we'll be able to drive, but we're good to actually start up and yeah, see if she fires up. Let's see. Good, all that battery and stuff works. Start, of course. All right, cold start. Let's hear it.